This research is about teachers shifting their beliefs about problem-based learning during a year-long professional development, and that epistemic network analysis can visualize privately held beliefs. This was located in a Northwest Indiana urban elementary school. You can see the demographics, and the participants were 3 novice kindergarten teachers. So Dr. Pratt and I used a continuous critical reflection professional development model where every week we asked teachers to contemplate what decisions are you making, what actions have you taken, and what are the outcomes. And we began to notice shifts in their pedagogical beliefs or their instructional practice beliefs. So the research questions were, what aspects actually encourage teachers to shift their beliefs, and how are their beliefs of practice structure shifted when we use a critical reflection cycle? So the data sources were 3 major professional development opportunities. 2 days in August, then the teachers implemented a 4 to 6 problem-based learning unit in the fall. Then we had a 2-day professional development in January, and they implemented another 4 to 6 week unit in the spring, and a final professional development in May. We had classroom observations, we were in the field, and we did a problem-based learning questionnaire pre, mid, and post, and the weekly focus groups every week. So epistemic network analysis can actually reveal privately held thought. So here we see that student ownership has the largest circle or node, and that means that this teacher talked about student ownership the most of all the ideas, and it's most strongly connected with a strong edge to independence. So they talked about student ownership and independent oftentimes together. So the findings, let's look at Mary's journey through professional development, one of the teachers. So ENA takes all the ideas and all the codes that we coded and places them on a graph, XY coordinate, and they stay there throughout the study. The connections are different between teachers, but the ideas are in the same location. So Mary starts in the most positive PBL quadrant with her pre, her mid is second most positive, and then post is back in the most positive quadrant. Let's look at her beliefs. She started with 7 beliefs. She believed it was about the product, which is a negative PBL code. She believed it was about student ownership connected to every other code. This should be relevant, the students were motivated, engaged, independent, and she should relinquish control. In the mid part of the professional development, she has disequilibrium. She has conflating beliefs. She's not sure which ones to believe. She still believes it's about relinquish control and independent, the strongest idea she talked about. She now adds problem solving, but she's just not sure about if she should be teacher directed and keeper of the knowledge, or if it should be about student ownership and relinquish control. At the end of the graph, Mary goes back to her original 6 beliefs, but she's added one called trust. And trust and student ownership were the most significant beliefs she spoke of, and still student ownership and independent, the strongest ideas. Let's look at Kylie's journey through professional development. Kylie started in the most negative PBL quadrant. She went up to the second most negative in mid, and she stayed there. Kylie lived in negative PBL codes. Let's see what her beliefs look like. In the beginning, Kylie started with disequilibrium. She wasn't sure what she knew when we started. She had disequilibrium with many codes. She believed that students were not independent. It was about the product. She believed in keeper of the knowledge and teacher directed, but she still thought that she should give them student ownership and relinquish control. She thought they can't reason and problem solve, which are opposing, and they could collaborate. Let's see what happened in the middle of the study. Kylie's mid-graph attaches disequilibrium to every single code except can't reason. She knew they couldn't reason. So she didn't have disequilibrium about it, but she still thought they were not independent. But then she has independent. She thought they could problem solve, but they can't reason. She thought they could collaborate, but they can't collaborate. She didn't know what she didn't know, and she was trying to figure out what she should do and which beliefs to keep. Let's look at the end. She has disequilibrium, but it's only connected to collaborate, and everything else she now understands. She believes, she still actually wonders about independent and not independent, whether she should give student ownership and keeper of the knowledge and teacher directed, and whether they can problem solve or they can't reason. So she still has a lot of ideas that are conflicting. Let's look at Jane's journey through professional development. Jane starts in the most negative PBL quadrant. In mid goes up to the second most negative and ends up in the second most positive quadrant. Her pre-ideas were that students were not independent and it was about the product. But she had disequilibrium about those two, along with student ownership. She believed she should be teacher-directed and keeper of the knowledge. And she believed that it should be relevant, but she has trust from the beginning of the project. In mid, Jane has disequilibrium about everything except independent. She believes students are independent. But she has disequilibrium. She says they're not independent. They are independent. It's about the product. She wonders if it's about the process. They can't reason. They can problem solve. They collaborate. She starts talking about student-to-student talk and that it's good. Let's see what happens at the end. She does not have disequilibrium. She knows it's about the process. Her strongest beliefs were that she should relinquish control because students were independent, and she believed in student talk and they could collaborate and problem solve. And she believed in trust, which is the strongest idea that she has connected to relinquish control and every other belief here. So, all the teachers' mean graphs, when we started the study, they all began in the most negative PBL quadrant with the pre. In mid, they were in the second most negative, and at the end, they were in the second most positive, showing growth toward positive problem-based learning ideas. Here's the all teachers trip. Pre, pre-mid, mid, mid-post, post, and here are the codes. You can see from negative to positive shift in beliefs about problem-based learning. So the critical reflection cycle did encourage shifts, and individual teachers had very distinct journeys. And ENA captured that disequilibrium stage, and there was statistically significant differences between the teachers' pre to mid and pre to post graphs. Thank you.